Hello and welcome to Hump Hangout on the 22nd of October 2025. And this is episode 569. Glad everyone is here and we have a great session today. I'm sitting at the moment in Austria. Adam is traveling somewhere, I think in Asia.
Running in the woods.
Yeah, as usual. And Bradley is as well here. So welcome, Bradley, today.
What's up, man?
Nothing much. Pretty good here.
Yeah.
Um, let's jump straight into announcements. Do we have anything special today?
Just the local mastery newsletter. We've got I think that's localmastery.semanticmastery.com. Let me just double check that before we move on. Local mastery. Sorry, I'm not usually the one that drops these. Yeah,
Okay.
localmastery.semanticmastery.com. That's our newsletter. Very inexpensive. I think it's $29 a month or $250 for a year. Very actionable. Guys, just so you know, the newsletter is actually what we essentially the newsletter is a we use AI to kind of summarize the webinars that I do every Thursday, and that's how we keep our content current in the mastermind. Is every single Thursday I do a webinar or a meeting. So every 2 weeks I do a webinar, which is kind of a traditional webinar where it's an hour and a half, 2 hours long typically, and that's where I'm doing kind of training them stuff that I want to train about or stuff that people in the mastermind have asked me to train about to do a lesson on. And then the other group, the other Thursdays are the Build with Bradley meeting, which is a discussion group. It's usually an hour. It's supposed to be an hour. Sometimes they go a little bit longer. But in any case, those are always good because that's an actual discussion between other members of the group and I. So it's good because we get differing opinions and all that kind of stuff, and those are always really fun. I enjoy those. But in any case, the local mastery newsletter is just where we've summarized those, and then we put them in newsletter format, and then I manually review every one of them. And so every single week, I review the newsletter that was derived from the webinar, or from the Thursday webinar that I host. And so they're very actionable. I mean, it's really, really good. I wish to hell I would have had something like this years ago, while I was kind of developing my own processes and my own knowledge, et cetera, because I understand a lot of busy people. I'm one of them. Like I join groups and training programs and stuff. And a lot of the times I don't have the time to go through all the training videos and stuff. And so I'll put them on 1.5 or 2 times speed and try to go through stuff, use AI to summarize stuff now to extract the main points so that I don't have to spend all that time actually watching the videos and trying to consume that content. So that's what the newsletter's for. It's a way for those that don't have the time to invest in or the desire, the time or the desire to spend a lot of time watching videos in the mastermind. The newsletter is available. It also kind of distills or summarizes the main points and the actionable items from each of the webinars into kind of a format that is usable so that you can read it, digest it, and then implement very quickly. And so I'd encourage everybody to check it out. It's a really good, every week when I review these newsletters before to approve for publishing or make any revisions or whatever. Um, I'm really impressed with how well they're done. I think they come out really, really well. And again, you can consume basically what we spend either an hour to 2 hours in a video webinar. You can consume it in 15 to 20 minutes. And again, it's very actionable. So go check it out, guys. Very inexpensive, but it's a great way to kind of stay plugged in and what's currently working in local search, without having to spend a lot of time watching videos. So,
Sweet. Good stuff.
okay, what else we got? Anything else?
I think that's it on mind.
Okay, beautiful. Let's drop the link in chat. Did you already do that by chance? I didn't
No,
look.
not yet,
Okay, let me
but
grab that.
can
I'll
do in
drop
a
that in chat and we'll move. We're 3 weeks away from our 11-year anniversary. Do you know that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
3 weeks. Local Mastery newsletter. So 11 years doing this damn show. In 3 weeks, that will be our 11-year anniversary. So we'll probably do something special like we normally do, some sort of giveaways and things like that. So y'all
Can't
stay
wait.
tuned. In order to win something, you have to be present on the anniversary show, though. So, all right. We don't have a lot of questions. We have a handful. So let me pull these up really quickly and then we'll roll through what we
Yeah, pretty sure
can.
some live questions will show up as well, so quite good.
Well, the live questions are going to show up in the chat box. So I will answer those and just get rid of these other ones from last week. and then we'll proceed. And if we can wrap, oops, we have to wrap up early. That's perfectly okay with me because I'm super tied up doing a ton of AI development stuff, like, well, kind of managing stuff. I don't want to do it myself anymore. I've determined I do not want to do AI development on my own. Like, I like working with AI and talking, chatting with it and getting ideas and things like that. But as far as actually building the agents and all that, I don't want to do it. Honest to God, I spent up 3 weeks messing around with doing AI agent and workflow development. And I realized I don't want to do that shit. I want to stay on the higher level, come up with concepts, validate the concepts, make sure there's, monetizable, there's demand for it, and then create the kind of project brief, and then assign that to my dev team and just say, go build this. Once it's built, then you can show me how it works. You know what I mean? And that's what I started doing. And so I spent some time working with some AI to try to develop some reusable project briefs for AI development project briefs. So now I have a nice clean template that I can use. And I already went through this entire process once in just the last week since I made this. I just made this decision at the beginning of last week where I said, I'm done. I don't want to do the AI development myself anymore. Like, I don't want to even try. I just don't have the bandwidth for it. And it's frustrating, to be honest with you. And I just don't want to do it. I want to stay on the higher level side of things. And so, I reached out to my executive assistant, Hazel, who runs a staffing agency, who has now got an AI dev team, which is where I've, basically bringing all of my AI work over to them. And they're going to be like, and so anyway, long story short, they've been doing two different AI dev projects for me already that they've been working on. One is a content syndication, like syndication app. The second one is an app that we're using specifically for the directory hybrid agency process, the listing delivery kind of booking process, which uses AI outbound voice calls to actually book appointments with contacts that have submitted their listing to the directory, or responded to our cold outreach or whatever. Anyway, they were doing two kind of dev projects for me originally. And then when I met Hazel in Roanoke, Virginia, she'd been working for me for 10 years and I never met her in person. And we actually met a few months ago, and she said that she was looking at doing some kind of JV, joint venture agreements, or rev share agreements with her AI dev division. So, like, in other words, she wants to have some sort of either an equity stake in businesses where they're the developers, so they have an equity stake in the business, percentage of ownership, or a revenue share or joint venture agreement type of a monetization model. And so basically, I went through and developed this AI project brief template that I can use so that when I come up with ideas, validate them, et cetera, then I can fill out this dev project brief template, or the project brief, excuse me, submit it to the AI dev team and say, can you guys do this? Here's the brief. Let them review it, tell me what they think, provide their feedback. And then if they agree, then we can proceed. And so in this case, I'm having an AI answering service developed specifically for tree service contractors that doesn't just do AI answering services, it does automatic appointment booking. So I developed a project brief and then I contacted Hazel to say, look, this is going to be the first project that I want to try this joint venture agreement or rev share agreement with you. And so I spent some time kind of chatting with another AI that was developed specifically for structuring partnership agreements and things like that. And so I spent some time chatting through that and developed an offer, a proposal for revenue share, a revenue share agreement proposal. And I submitted it to her. She countered. And then I went back and kind of worked through that and came back with a counter offer that was right in the middle between my original offer and her counter offer. And we agreed. And that was all done on 2 days ago. And so I got the agreement signed and off to the races. We got a whole new project up and running. So that's the whole point. The reason I started telling you guys all of that is because I think as agency owners, like if you don't have a lot of clients, you don't have a lot of revenue coming into your business, then I understand wanting to learn how to kind of build the agents and the workflows, et cetera. I understand all that. I still don't think it's the right way to do it. I think the better way to do it is identify kind of like what I'm doing now, which is to identify things that AI can use to help make more efficient or to automate, right? Once you've identified something, validate it. Make sure that there's going to be a demand for it and it's monetizable. Well, how do you do that? Well, first of all, have conversations with business owners in whatever industry you've selected. I highly encourage you to select one industry. but find out like boring stuff that's part of the like business operation things that they have to do in their business on a regular basis, or maybe it might not even be fully regular, but something that might take a lot of time when they do have to do it. Anything like those are the kind of things that you should automate first, or things that take a significant amount of time to complete. Recurring things are always good to automate first because those are things that are going to they use, even if it's just a little bit of time, it's recurring, so it's constantly using time. But also big kind of tasks that require a lot of attention or a lot of resources, a lot of personnel, those types of things, they're harder to automate, but those also are going to have the highest return on the investment of building those applications, because they'll provide so much more kind of, you're buying back your time essentially, so to speak. And so, I think that the best way to kind of proceed with all this stuff right now is to identify these kind of like boring tasks or business processes that are either repetitive or require a lot of time, and then figure out how to automate those. Right. And by the way, you can just use AI to ask how to automate it. Like describe the business process and where there are inefficiencies or bottlenecks or things that, where there's friction throughout that process. And you just describe the process. You can take screenshots of things, all of that, and feed it to the AI and say, like, help me work through this. Help me to, how do I go about starting to automate this? Right. And allow the AI to work through it. That, man, I'm telling you, that's where the money is right now, guys. It's all in about, not coming up with the super sexy, flashy stuff that, that's really cool and all that, but just the really boring stuff in people's businesses or in particular industries that you can develop solutions to make their business operate more smoothly, more efficiently, with less overhead, et cetera. If you understand that, I think that's really where the opportunity lies. And you don't have to be the one that learns how to do them. So like I just mentioned a moment ago, instead of learning how to build it yourself, if you can identify these opportunities, confirm that there's going to be demand and it's monetizable, how do you do that? You ask questions. You ask business owners in whatever industry, what are your, once you've identified, so first of all, just have discovery calls, right? Have discovery calls with business owners in whatever industry you think you want to work in, and ask them, find out what are some of the repetitive, just do discovery calls where you're not trying to sell them a damn thing. Say, and be honest about it. Say, look, I'm scheduling calls with business owners in your industry so that I can develop some solutions using AI to help automate, make more efficient, cost less, et cetera. Right? What are some of the things in your business, your day-to-day operations or recurring tasks or whatever? What are parts of your business currently that give you heartburn, right? That keep you up at night? Parts of your business that you don't like, that are painful, inefficient, cost too much, whatever. Just ask questions, guys. Start developing a list of problems that the business owner has. Each time you talk to a business owner in a particular industry, do that exercise. Ask them, what are problems in your business right now that are giving you a headache, right? That are constant recurring pain points, things like that. Get a list. Each time you talk to a business owner in the same industry, but different business owners, ask the same set of questions. Develop a list. Use AI, put all of that shit into a spreadsheet, send it to AI and say, extract the most prevalent pain points here. And then how can I start to automate some of these problems that were described in these questions, this survey that I took, right? You can identify the common the problems that are the most common among business owners of that industry. And then you can ask AI to help you to start to develop solutions using AI to help automate, or make more efficient, whatever. Does that make sense? Once you have that, and then you can go back, start. So I recommend doing this in stages, right? You start with discovery calls, get a list of common problems that the business owners in that particular industry are dealing with. Once you have that, then you can go create some potential solutions. You don't have to have it actually worked out. All you have to do is know that it's possible. And you can query AI to do that and ask, okay, here's the issue. How would we go about starting to use AI to automate this or to whatever, to improve this? And then again, once you have some kind of fleshed out concepts, that's all you need is the concept. Now you can assign a value to it. And then you can ask, and by the way, you can ask the business owners in the same industry again, if I were to provide you with a solution that automates insert whatever the problem is, how much would that be worth to you? Right? Ask questions about how much time does that process cost? Like how much time does it take for that process to be completed? What are the costs for that process to be completed? If they don't know the cost, but they know the time and they're paying employees, then you can figure out the cost, right? So my point is you can identify by asking questions what the value of automating that service or process, their business process is. Like, what is the value of automating that or turning it over to AI? If I were to build something that could automate this process, um, how valuable is that? What is it worth to you? You could ask those questions, but you can also come to that conclusion by asking questions about how long it takes for that process to be executed. How much does it cost? How many people are involved? Blah, blah, blah. Get all the problems. By the way, that's all important information to have because you feed that into the AI for how to develop the solution, right? And so once you have all this, now you've got a kind of a at least a starting point for what you think it's worth if you were to build it. Now you can set up a simple landing page that explains a simple one, guys, minimum viable product here, not something that you're going to go out and develop a website and all these automations and everything. No, you haven't validated it yet. Validate the offer first, right? You've so far, again, this process is querying business owners to find out what are pain points in their business, recurring or stuff that they just don't like, stuff that's inefficient, whatever. So you find out those, then find out, is it possible to automate this using AI? If so, then find out what is it worth if I were to automate this particular business process? How valuable is that? Once you have that kind of starting point number, which remember, you can always test with different price points, but you got to get a good, decent starting price point, throw up a landing page, and then drive traffic to it. Again, you could do very simple cold emails to your warm audience, like lukewarm list of contacts that you've already start with the business owners you've had discovery calls with. Hey, look, thanks for the call that we had, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And I appreciate the information that you provided to me. It actually helped me to develop some of these concepts that I'm planning on developing these. Here's what I got. You told me this was painful to you. Here's we can develop a solution for this. This is what it's going to cost. This is my expected timeline. Always give yourself a little bit of buffer time because development work always takes longer than expected. But say, are you interested? Right? And guys, if you're just starting that in your business, like this kind of a division in your business, give them a discount. Put the actual price on the landing page, but tell them because this is beta, like we're doing this as kind of a new division in our business, we'll give you a discount right now for, whatever it is, whatever the percentage is, or $500 off, or whatever it is. You just tell them we'll give that to you right now as because we're just starting this, but and give them a guarantee, a money back guarantee or whatever, something like that. Because here's the thing. Most people are in our industry, guys, are going to go out and try to learn how to do automations and build workflows and everything first. And they're going to spend all this time learning how to build all these things before they ever determine whether it's monetizable or not, or if they're going to be able to sell it or anything else. So this flips it on its head, right? You're basically saying, I'm going to go out and do all the setup work to first determine if there's interest and if I can generate revenue from this concept before I even learn how to build it, right? Just need to validate, confirm that it's doable. And once it's doable, start taking orders, right? Now you've got money, even if it's just take a deposit. Say like we'll take a 20% deposit up front. This is what it's going to cost. We'll take, and then we'll do draws, guys. Again, development projects, it's like construction projects, right? I'm familiar more with construction projects, believe it or not, than I am with developing softwares and stuff. But the point is, you could do it on a draw, like have milestones, right? Like say it's going to take us 6 weeks to develop this for you, so it's going to cost you $5,000. We'll take a $1,500 retainer up front or deposit up front, and then every 2 weeks for the next 3 cycles, right? We'll do another $1,500. That'll end up being, whatever it is. So, and the point that I'm trying to make is, as long as certain milestones are met, that's when another draw is taken from the original agreed upon price of that particular service. See what I'm saying? And so now you are actually generating revenue and earning revenue as you are having learning to develop the workflow, or now you have revenue to hire that out so that you can hire an AI dev either in-house or a company that you'd use externally to develop it for you, right? That's a much better model than learning how to do it on your own. And that's what I kind of came to that conclusion on my own from spending 3 weeks of trying to learn how to do development and build AI workflows in N8N using Cinta as kind of an assistant, which by the way, that Cinta is one of the an AI application that helps you to build N8N workflows. But N8N just opened up their own workflow builder. So like, isn't that gonna make Cinta obsolete? I don't know how they're gonna pivot, but that's, I think, one of the dangers of getting too involved in building AI apps is that a lot of these AI apps are going to become overtaken or obsolete very quickly. Like ChatGPT just coming out with like their whole, what they called it, agent kit, right? Which is like everything all under one kind of dashboard. And so a lot of people are saying it's going to be like ChatGPT with their agent kit is almost like the Apple ecosystem in that everything is under one umbrella, but it's a closed system, right? It doesn't integrate really nicely with a lot of external and all that. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is I think the best opportunity right now for local marketing in this AI revolution, right, is that we, identify these things, figure out how to monetize it, make sure there's demand, and then start selling it. And there's a lot of people out there I know from being on X and just kind of watching, there's a lot of people that are learning how to develop workflows and agents, and that's great. They're good at it, they're proficient at it, but they're not really good at monetizing them. Right. And so that's a perfect opportunity. I think there's going to, just like in the SEO industry, guys, it's no different at all. There's a lot of SEOs that have learned how to do SEO and know various tactics that can move the needle, but they're not good at generating revenue from SEO because they're not good at selling and marketing and generating leads for their own services, et cetera. So there's a lot of AI kind of, practitioners out there, so to speak, that are becoming proficient at building agents, workflows, et cetera, but are having trouble monetizing them because they're kind of stuck in the tech and not on the bigger picture of how can we apply this in a way that's going to be practical and monetizable, right? And so I think that's where the biggest opportunities are, guys. And I'm spent a few minutes talking about that just because I think there's a lot of opportunity for that right now, and using for example, my AI dev team from my executive assistant staffing agency, very reasonable. Even with the revenue share that I proposed to them, it's a hybrid between retainers and a percentage of gross revenues that the application will earn on a monthly basis. But it's based on graduated kind of like payment schedule, where like the first month 1 through 3 during the initial kind of startup of the development side of things, where there's no revenue coming in yet, but there's a lot of costs in paying for the AI developers, et cetera. So I'm paying kind of a retainer. And then month 4 to 6 or something like that, it's a hybrid between retainer and percentage of gross revenues. And then I think it's month 7 or so is when it goes to pure revenue share only. And 15% of gross revenues is what I'm going to be sharing. So anyway, the reason I bring that up is because now again, it brought, I spent about 3 or 4 days kind of working through developing an AI dev project brief and then also a monetization model, so that now anytime I have an idea like this, all I got to do is complete the brief. Well, once I validate the idea is a good one, through the same process I just described to you guys, right? Having conversations with business owners, confirming that if there were something that a solution to solve that problem, would they be willing to pay for it? And once I have those yeses, that's all I need. Create the project brief and then send it to the team. I don't even have to know how it works. All I have to do is send it to them and say, build this. Once it's built, then they can show me how it works so that then I can talk about it intelligently when I'm selling it, et cetera. Hopefully that's clear. A lot of opportunity right now, guys, and I think it's just figuring out how to do it the right way. And I'm not saying what I've got developed right now is the right way. I just think it's a better strategy, especially after spending almost 3 weeks of trying to learn how to do it on my own. And I realized that is not what I want to be doing. So Chris,
Well,
do you
it's
have
the
any comments
classic
on that?
issue on like a new industry. Like, for example, here in Europe, if you try to sell AI, you get basically two business owner fractions. One who are already pre-sold, who like heard about AI, they want everything AI, and it basically doesn't matter what you sell them. Then you have the other fraction that is like completely blocking. They don't want to have anything to do with
Right. They're
AI,
scared of it.
and you
Yeah.
will not sell a single thing. And
Yeah.
this can be in the same niche. You can have like people who are like completely on it and completely off it.
Yeah.
So at the same time, like the people who are really on it, 90% of the stuff they're implementing is completely trash.
It's
Like
trash.
you
Yeah.
can
It's not
completely throw it
helpful at
away.
all.
It's not
Yeah.
solving any actual issues or problems. And it's literally just like, yeah, we are doing AI stuff. It's the cool new thing. And like,
That's right.
as you mentioned as well with the tools, like I totally agree. Like 90%, if not more, is gonna be completely obsolete and gone.
Yep.
And
Well, it's like
regarding
with Tree
OpenAI, they
Guys.
just brought their own browser as well.
Yeah,
So
I
they have
saw that.
already their own browser and things. So like they will have quite the infrastructure, as you mentioned.
Yeah, ChatGPT just launched Atlas. Well, it's on Mac only right now, but the Atlas browser, and they're trying to create their whole own ecosystem. But it's like with Tree Guys, man. Like what I found with Tree Guys is they don't look. It's a good industry for this AI kind of development model because Tree Guys they don't give a shit whether it's AI or not. All they care about is whether their phones are ringing and they're getting jobs. That's it. And so I ask them questions about their operations, like lead management, for example, like what happens when when a lead comes in, how quickly do you respond, and all this kind of stuff. And those are the kind of questions that then tells me, okay, that's why I'm developing what I call Canopy called Lead Rescue System, which is the AI appointment setting service, where the tree guys aren't going to have access to a CRM. They don't, none of that. The AI will take the caller's call or the SMS or the email or whatever and actually book the appointment for the contractor. And all the contractor does is get a notification that he's got another estimate booked on and that's it. And that's what they want. And so it's not about, like Chris, what you just mentioned, it's not about just adding AI to the business. That's why, like I said, the tree service industry is good for this because most of those guys, they have no, they don't care. They're not saying, oh, yeah, I want to get AI integrated. They don't care. They just want their phone ringing. They just want more leads, more jobs. And so all I got to do is ask them questions about their business, like things, their day-to-day operations, invoicing, actually creating the estimate. Like, for example, estimating software is another application that I'm considering developing to where they can just take photos, like a consumer can take photos of the tree that needs tree care work done and send it in, and the AI can then give a rough estimate as to what that job is actually going to take based on the parameters that the contractor inputs as far as their costs, their fees, et cetera. So there's just so many things I think that is available for us to build for local businesses. And like you said, it's that there's businesses that either just want to adopt anything AI, and then there's other businesses that don't want anything to do with it. And the tree guys are like the guys that say, I really don't want anything to do with it because they don't understand it. But so instead, I just ask them questions about what is inefficient in their business. They tell me, and then I can go develop that and offer it to them. Like, hey, you said that, or this is, I know this is a common problem in your industry. Well, we've developed a solution that automates that or eliminates that as a problem. Are you interested? And there's where you're going to start getting, and guys, that has nothing to do with SEO. I mean, it's about just making their business more pleasurable for them, more profitable, more efficient, et cetera. So anyway, great topic. I think I've been spending a lot of time kind of reading and researching, and um, really interesting times we're in for sure. But we got a few questions, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into that. Chris, thanks for participating in that discussion.
Choosing.
Grab the screen. We'll jump into this. Give me 1 second. Not a whole lot of questions anyways. The first one is coming from Jose. Okay. Zoom in a little bit. I feel like I'm hitting a roadblock. I've done ecom SEO for a while. In September, I lost my 2 main clients and was devastated. Today, I read that ChatGPT is driving 20% of Walmart's referral traffic in the news. Should I switch to AI optimization? I think you should include AI optimization, Jose, not just switch to it. Um, you know, as it stands right now, Google is still, well, I don't know about ecom. I'm assuming, I don't know because I don't work in the ecom space. But in local search, Google has been Local search has been less affected by AI, although it is losing and really where I've seen a lot of and in talking with consumers and what a lot of people are doing, I think now when it comes to local, is they'll go to whatever their favorite AI chat app is, and they'll ask, who's the best tree service provider in my area, and they'll mention the city or whatever, right? And then they'll get some recommendations in AI, or whatever the AI returns as, these are whatever the search results are, suggested results, whatever from the AI chat. And then they'll go to Google and search for each of those company names to see what are other people saying, what do the reviews look like, et cetera. Right. And so it's kind of, Google has not lost a lot of, at least on local search, has not lost a lot of market share, but the behavior, the search behavior of consumers has changed a bit to where it's more of a two-step process. So branded searches are becoming, I think, not becoming, I mean, I've been saying for years that branding is critically important for SEO, but I think it's even more important now than ever, because if by the way, what is branding? Branding is publishing content and multimedia format that is always referencing the brand and creating associations between the brand and the products or services it provides and the locations in which it provides them, right? So by focusing on branding, you can get into AI search when people are searching for stuff that would be relevant to the business that you're promoting. But then number two, if you are doing SEO properly, like traditional SEO, not AI SEO, but traditional SEO, then when somebody does a brand search, once the AI has recommended particular specific brands for whatever the query was, and then the consumer goes to Google then and then searches each one of those brands individually, you want the branded search to come back looking stronger than everybody else's. And so that's a hybrid. It's a both traditional AI or traditional search, excuse me, traditional local search and AI search. And that's where I think the biggest opportunity is for SEOs right now, is to kind of do a hybrid between both optimizing for AI, which is really about branding and content, and being kind of prolific about publishing content across different media formats, across as many platforms as possible, preferably higher authority platforms, et cetera. Press releases are great for this, stuff like that. But then also optimizing the brand for brand search. I think it's important to still optimize for keyword search, although it's not a keyword-based algorithm anymore, but still optimize for keyword search so that people that are still not using AI yet for chat can still find the company through discovery type searches in Google or whatever their search engine is, but still primarily Google. But optimizing that brand search will also improve, keyword search, those types of searches for a company too. So I think branding is the most important thing right now in both traditional SEO and AI search. And if you do that well, you stand a much better chance to perform well in both search, kind of venues, so to speak, if that's clear. All right. I wouldn't say switch entirely because Google's not dead yet. And Google's going to just evolve into kind of more of an AI. That's what I almost guarantee AI mode is going to be forced upon us very soon, to where they're going to get rid of traditional search. I kind of expect that to happen. Don't know how soon, but fairly soon. So I think we should be optimizing for both, really, not one or the other.
It's kind of like the auto suggest feature that we had in the past.
Correct.
That's how I see it.
Yep. Very good. All right, Tim's up next. He says, how would you structure pages and interlinking for a realtor website, considering they don't really have services other than listings? Well, they kind of do. They listing services and buyer's agent services, right? So there's, you could structure it as a site where you've got, homes for sale and listing services. And then that would be, homes for sale is like inventory, right? Listing services, or however you would want to phrase that, would be for, for people that want to sell a house, that want to list their house for sale. And then there's the buyer's agent. So when a realtor is representing a buyer, then there's that. So you could structure it that way, right? You'd have, houses for sale, sell a house, or a category, whatever, a silo for home sellers, and then one for home buyers as well. Does that make sense? That's what I would do. And then for real estate, it's going to be tough. Real estate, the way I look at it, if you're a local realtor or a real estate um, company, like a broker or whatever, I think the better thing to optimize for there is just really focusing in on maps performance, map search, because it's very difficult to gain much traction in organic search in the real estate industry because you're fighting against the big authority players like Zillow and Redfin and realtor.com and all that kind of stuff. Those are massively authoritative sites, and it's very difficult to compete in organic search. But on a local level, it's really not that difficult in real estate because what you're competing with on the local level in map search is the other real estate agents and brokerage firms in the area. And a lot of them really don't do very well at SEO because most of them are cheap. Like no shit. I know I've done real estate um, multiple times throughout my own career, like as a side business. I did it full time for about 3 years when I was a lot younger, but I bought and sold real estate, flipped real estate. And so, but then I've been doing digital marketing for 15 years. And so because I did real estate for my own, I used to flip houses, and then I did just vacant land flipping for a couple of years between 2019 and 2021. I did that, did like bought and sold like 35 properties, et cetera. But so I've dealt with a lot of realtors over the years. And because of my marketing, digital marketing agency, there's been times where I've tried to sell marketing service to realtors. And most of the time they're very cheap. They're just only the most successful realtors spend a lot of money on marketing and advertising. And the percentage of really successful realtors compared to the percentage of unsuccessful realtors, the ones that are just barely scraping by, is huge. It's like there's such a tiny fraction of realtors that are actually doing really, really well. And so where I found the best kind of optimization opportunities for real estate is to focus in on map search and then to go hyper local. And that, what I mean by that is to have pages on the site, the main site, so that you can compete more in organic search for that, where you're targeting like neighborhood names or community names. Um, because that typically the bigger companies aren't going to target those as well. So in other words, if you are creating pages where you're like separating, like, you know, buy a house in a particular neighborhood name or sell a house in a particular neighborhood name, right? That would be a way or just have a page optimized for the neighborhood name, right? On the site. And then you have an H2 section about buying homes in that community, and then an H2 about selling homes in that community. Now you've got one page optimized for that community that could rank for both buying and selling homes in that, like, buy homes in or sell homes in or whatever. So that's kind of where I think the best strategy or structure for that type of a site is to focus really hyper local, community names, that kind of stuff. Because if you just focus in on, traditional city names, in organic search, you're fighting against the big sites like Zillow and Realtor, et cetera, right? When you get down to the actual, just like neighborhood names, community names, et cetera, within a particular city with proper structure, meaning the pages are siloed properly with proper internal links, et cetera, you stand a much better chance not only to rank in organic, but also to perform better in maps across a wider area because of that granular location optimization, if that makes sense. Real estate's tricky, though. It really is. Again, not so much in maps, but it is in organic. It's a tricky industry. Okay. Mike says, and by the way, guys, when I talk about service pages, a service page is a product or service page or a practice area page or a neighborhood page or whatever. When I say service pages, it just means the thing that the business monetizes, whether it's a product, a service, a sale of a house, whatever it is. A service page is just whatever the business sells. That's all. That's what I mean when I say service page. Okay, Mike says, I'm building up my directory listing site and I verified my GBP. However, my mobile phone is tied to it and my Google accounts. My cell number is also on my self-hosted directory website. Ouch. I'm also in the process of building out all of my social sites in Web 2. Now I'm thinking I don't want to use my cell phone for this project. I wouldn't. That's why I said, ouch, Mike. I would never do that, man. It's so easy to get a redirect phone number. that you can have forward to your mobile phone. That's fine. If you want all the, I don't know why anybody would want to field calls from the directory side. You're going to get spammed to death. Solicit, just spam calls, robocalls. Like, but I would just get a virtual phone number. And by the way, um, you can use, like, if you're using high level, you have AI employee in high level. They have inbound voice agents. So you can set up a voicemail, or excuse me, an inbound voice agent for whatever phone number you connect to your directory and all of your social medias and everything, and allow, like, basically create an AI receptionist for your brand, your directory brand. That's it. You can do that in high levels. $97 a month, guys, to enable AI, unlimited AI employee in a high level sub account. It's 97 bucks a month. That's worth it. I mean, I pay $97 a month just to not have my phone ring all the time. You know what I mean? Because it's distracting. It's irritating. So I would set up an AI voice agent inside high level. I'm assuming you use high level, Mike. If not, maybe perhaps you would, but you could get an AI receptionist out externally without using high level if you don't use high level. There's external sources that do it. I know because I've done a ton of research to look to see what others are doing, because I'm developing my own specifically for tree service contractors. That makes sense. An AI reception, but not just a receptionist, one that does automatic appointment booking, et cetera, based upon logistics. It's not just a answering service, what I'm developing. It's a hands-off service for tree guys to just get booked appointments, like no CRM, nothing. They've got nothing to learn, nothing to log into, nothing. They just give us their calendar, and we work it out for them and just book appointments for them, right? AI does all of that, and we're developing that inside of high level right now using AI's AI employee in high level. Okay. So yeah, get a direct redirect phone number, a forwarding phone number, and use that. And again, if you're using high level, you just issue a phone number right from within the sub account. And then that phone number now, especially if you're using high level, now anytime somebody calls, texts, any of that to that phone number, you have full records of all interactions with any caller or texter or any engagements with that phone number, you have full context of, kept track of 100%, right? Which makes that's valuable in itself, in my opinion, because you can kind of judge the temperature of contacts based upon how many times they interact with the phone, the SMS, whatever, right? So anyway, I don't want to use my cell phone for this project. I want to use a different local one for NAP, socials, Web2, press release, etc. What is your process for obtaining local phone numbers for your directory site? It's all done through high level and Felling.pro. Yep, again, all through high level. Also, I just recently signed up again for the mastermind. And is there an SOP for this? Yes. Just very quickly for the benefit of you. Well, here, we'll go over here. This is the mastermind. If you go into the SOP section right here, and you look at the DHA SOPs, that's Directory Hybrid Agency SOPs, there they are. The Directory CRM SOP, that's this one right there. That is the SOP for setting up the sub account for your directory inside of high level. So for your directory and agency, that is the Directory CRM or high level agency SOP is for how you set up, and it's got a snapshot that's pre-configured with all of this stuff already built into it, if that makes sense. And that's in the SOP there. So that, I mean, it's very thorough, very thorough. Okay. Matter of fact, we'll just take a quick look at that. Give me 1 second. And this goes through again, there's a snapshot in there, which will show you how to actually, right there. Shows you can import the snapshot, and then everything in here is cataloged. Like, for example, here's the snapshot, right? You can get the snapshot right there. But then here's a list, a checklist of all the assets within the snapshot. That way you can always make sure that everything is present. Every time I make a change to this particular snapshot, I update this SOP template. So anytime I add like new tags, for example, or new workflows or anything else, all of that is cataloged in here. So, and you can tell by the release number, when you go to import the release or the SOP template, you'll see this is release 7.3 right now. So if if it's a major update, the release number will change from like 7 to 8. If it's a minor update, it's just going to be like, go to 7.4. If that makes sense. So again, very, very thorough. This is a very thorough SOP for how to set up the high level account and configure it, the sub account for your directory, high level, your directory agency, excuse me. Okay. Okay. So there you go. That was it. All right. Any comments that I need to address? Or are we wrapping up for the day?
Yeah, there was one question earlier.
Lurker. I see Michael. What's up, Michael? He says, Lurker here. I built a topical cluster off page. I have money, domain buffer, cloud buffer, tier 3 cloud links, 1 to 100 for local topical entity. How long gauge results for 12 to how long gauge results 12 to 16 weeks? I'm not sure I understand the question, Michael. And honestly, I can't answer how long to see results without looking at the competition. Like the quantity of signals that you applied to that campaign means nothing to me. And I'm not trying to be rude or shitty to you, Michael. I hope you understand that. But describing the quantity of signals that you sent to a campaign means absolutely nothing to me, because what is that in comparison to? Right? What is that relative to? Right? Those signals mean nothing without looking at what are the other top ranked competitors doing? Are these comparable signals? Have they exceeded those? Like, or is it less? I don't know. Without having a benchmark like to compare it to, I have nothing like those. That means nothing to me. And just again, I'm not trying to pick on you. It just doesn't mean anything. That's why we do competitive link analysis. Just for your benefit, Michael, in case you're unaware of this, if you go over to our YouTube channel, give me 1 second. Where do I go? Your channel right there. If you go to the search function from our YouTube channel and just search for competitive, let's see, competitive link analysis, just search for that. You'll see it comes up. This one, competitive link analysis for local SEO. Just follow that training. It's 1 hour and 8 minutes long. Watch it on 1.5 speed if you want to. There, if we go click into this, you pause it real quick. You'll see right here is the Google Doc that you first click that. That's going to, let me just show you. It's going to prompt you to make a copy of that or to import a copy into your Google Drive account. Once you do, keep the copy, then download a version of it as an Excel file so that you could open that up on your desktop, okay, as an Excel file, not a Google Sheet. It's important. It has to be Excel, okay? Once you have opened it up as an Excel file, then you're going to go get SEO Tools for Excel, which is a plugin for Excel. And it's a paid plugin, but they have some free modules, and you're going to be using the Majestic module, the Majestic SEO module, which is part of the SEO Tools for Excel, and it's free to use it, but you have to have a paid Majestic account. But they have Majestic Lite. Majestic Lite is only $49 a month. So if you go watch this training, use that spreadsheet, and integrate the Majestic SEO Tools for Excel, you can do all of your competition analysis right within Excel. And I teach exactly how to do that right here. And then the data that you provided here would be relevant or valuable, because then you could compare these signals to what the other top ranked competitors are doing. Plus, this data also provides you with very specific, let me pause the screen for a minute so I can just demonstrate this. Okay, here we go. So here's an example of what it looks like once it's been completed, right? So this is a competitive link analysis sheet. This is that workbook template that I just provided to you in that that YouTube video. So you download the template, the workbook, excuse me, or import it into your Google Drive, download as an Excel file, rename it, and then you're going to title the sheet after the search queries that you're analyzing. This shows the top ranked competitors for this particular query. And then all of this is built with formulas. All of this here, if I go show you, we go, well, you can't see it on desktop or in the hosted file, which is what we're looking at here. So let me just give you a quick example of what this looks like on the actual Excel file. Give me 1 second. Why am I not seeing my own name here? There it is. Because I'm on a webinar, that's why. Oh, you know what? That's in semantic SEO. Sorry, give me 1 second. Oops. Tree care workbook. Where the fuck is it? I'm having a hard time finding it. Well, anyway, I was going to open it up in Excel to show you, but let me just pull open the file. I'll just show you my template file. That's fine. We'll just use that one. This is the workbook demo. Okay, we just use this one. In any case, this just show you where the SEO tools for Excel extension is. It's very simple. I don't need that. Optimize all. All right, so if we come over here, for example, like you'll see in our workbook template, we have these sheets here. Yes, I'll remove the files. We have these different sheets down here that show, this is an older template, but like, for example, competitors. This is what, from here, then we go over to data, or excuse me, SEO tools, and then right here, you click Majestic. Then backlinks, log in. I'm already logged in my browser. That's why it automatically logged in by just clicking login. And then what I do is I set a particular type called target URLs, a particular configuration that I saved. So then I select that. And what that does is you'll see this, and all of this is covered in that video. But these are the checkboxes for the fields that I want, or the columns that I want data. And then down here, it shows that I've got 10,000. It's going to show a maximum of 10,000 backlinks for any one of these, any of the URLs that I'm analyzing up here. Then we go analyze the top ranked competitors based upon a localized search using a geolocated browser. You identify the top ranked competitors, you plug the URLs in here, but not just one. So for each competitor, you run this process where you take the page URL that is ranking for that search query, and you're going to want to modify that page URL, that specific URL, to the 4 potential versions of it, right? Think about that. HTTP, HTTPS, and in both of those versions, with and without www, right? So that's a total of 4 URL versions for each page URL that is ranking in the search results. That's what you put in this box here, all 4 versions of that URL, because you want to get a total link profile analysis to any versions of those URLs, of that page URL, because all of those, if the hosting is set up and configured properly, all of those other page URLs that whatever the versions they are, HTTP, HTTPS, with or without www, they should all resolve to whatever the most current version is, meaning they should all redirect to whatever the most current version is. Therefore, any backlinks pointing to the other versions of the URL are going to be still redirected to whatever the current version is. So you need to get a full backlink profile analysis to the page URL for all versions of that page URL. And that's what we do in this process. And then once we complete all that data, we then classify each of the anchor texts into one of 5 anchor text types or categories, which is what we show right here. And this is as it relates to local. Plug all that data into here for each of the campaigns, and you see these are formulas that provide the averages. Now you know the number of links that you can build to a particular page before exceeding the average number of links. So you got the quantity-based metrics. You know which anchor text to be using when building links to that page, the target page, because you know that you want to model the anchor text ratio of the top ranked competitors. Google's already rewarding these page URLs with top ranking performance for this search query. So if you model what they're doing, but just with better, more relevant links, you're likely to perform better as well, right? To compete. So, and then once we get the quantity-based metrics in the anchor text requirements, which is all of that is right here in a visual displayed in a visual way, right? And then we have over here, this is where then I go talk about I use on-page AI for this, but you can do this. I'm sure there's other tools that do this as well. But then we go ask Google to tell us what topical categories were identified on these pages, so that we now know when we're publishing content for link building to build links to this target URL, we want to make sure that the content of the link building article matches one or a combination of these categories, so that now we can achieve 100% relevance matching between the referring page and the target URL. You understand? Then now, because you have the topical categories that Google has told us it found on these top ranked pages, then we can also look for referring domains or potential link sources that we want to publish our post onto that contains a link back to our money site, right? We can identify only referring domains that have the primary topical themes of the entire site falls into one or a combination of these categories as well. So that when we publish the post onto that domain, now we're achieving relevance matching at 2 levels, referring page and referring domain. But then if you use Majestic, which is why I use Majestic, because of it's not the metric that matters, but Majestic is a very accurate, it has their topical trust flow classification system, which is what categorizes external backlinks into topical categories. You understand that? That is it's quite accurate. Okay, there's flaws to it for sure, but it's quite accurate. And so Majestic's topical trust flow categories, you can identify those that align with or match up to Google's natural language categories. So now you know when you're looking at potential link sources that already meet these topical requirements, according to Google, you can look at the backlink profile of the link sources to determine and only select those link sources that already have relevant link profiles. That makes sense, right? So I just point that out because the question was, how long will I see results after applying all these signals? Don't know. I have no idea. There's no way of me being able to give you any sort of reasonable estimation on that. I have to look at the top ranked competitors and see, by the way, what anchor text are you using in all those links? And like all of that's why, again, I don't ever make any recommendations for any sort of link building or anything without looking at the data first. And this is always the first step, competitive link analysis. Okay. And you have full access to do that on your own through the training that I just provided here. Okay. Check it out. It works. What's up, David? What's up, Craig? 321 Digital. Do you resell GHL accounts? We do for mastermind members, where we actually will manage the deployment of sub accounts for you. There is, and it has all the pre-configured snapshots in it and everything else. And the reason we do that for mastermind members is because we want you not focusing in on building high-level automations and snapshots and all that, but instead using high-level to go out and sell marketing services, local marketing services. And so we provide the option as managed high-level accounts through Semantic Mastery Mastermind so that our program members that want to, instead of spending all their time learning how to set up and configure high-level, you still have to learn it, but instead of spending all that time learning how automations work, just you have a plug and play system already pre-configured, ready to go with all of our processes and everything so that you can focus on generating revenue first. And then you can spend time later learning all that you want about high level. Again, it's backwards. I see oh, you know what? That's it. I'm going to start a marketing agency and I want to use Go High Level because it's the Swiss Army knife and it's fucking awesome. And now I'm going to spend the next 6 months learning high level before I ever make dime number one, right? That's ridiculous. First generate some revenue, and then you can start to learn how to use those services. And that's why, like I said, we offer that. It's just a convenience things for mastermind members. It's not really a profit center for us. So yes, we do have managed high level accounts for mastermind members, but that is the restriction. You have to be in the mastermind. Is there a cost to that GHL snapshot? Yeah, mastermind membership. That's the cost. Trans Canada says, is there a Semantic Mastery Black Friday deal coming? There always is. But what we do between Black Friday and Cyber Monday is we don't sell a damn thing. We give stuff away because everybody else is doing sales and it's a fucking feeding frenzy. Like you guys know it is. Every year it's a frenzy. And we said 3 or 4 years ago, we said, we're not going to participate and contribute to this chaos so we give away free training. We've already selected what we're going to give away Black Friday to Cyber Monday. So definitely, it's nothing for sale, but we're gonna give something away, make it available from Black Friday to Cyber Monday only. It is a paid product service. It's a paid product that you will be able to access for free and get access to for free during that time. David says that the question was how soon to get to page one. That's not easy to gauge. Yeah, even with that data, you can't gauge that. David's right. Even with the competitive link analysis, you can have an estimated time. I can take an educated guess when I look at the data, provided that the on-page is done properly and the quality of the off-page signals is proper, then I can give a estimated time to expect results. If you did things right, you should see movement in the first week. Yeah, I agree with that too. But and David, I'm sure you agree with this too. You can oftentimes see movement when something has been done well. You can see movement, but sometimes that movement will revert the volatility, right? You might see positive movement immediately, but then you'll see it drop. That's when a lot of SEOs will freak out, start doing more things or whatever. And so it's just that anytime there's new data being injected, there's going to be volatility. And so as long as you start seeing movement, it usually just means that something, Google is recognizing some changes are occurring. So that's usually not a bad thing. All right, guys, appreciate everybody for being here today. Thanks, Chris, for sticking around. We'll see you guys next week.
Cheers, bye.